In American politics, fiery speeches and brutal rivalries are nothing new. But every once in a while, a moment unfolds that shifts the entire landscape, one sentence, one outburst, one confrontation that becomes unforgettable. This is the story of such a moment. At a protest that was supposed to highlight economic inequality, Bernie Sanders, the progressive voice of the American left, took the stage with fury. He didn't just attack policies, he attacked the man behind them. Calling Donald Trump a moron wasn't just off the cuff, it was the opening salvo in what would become a brutal political war. But what happened next shocked even Bernie's most loyal supporters. With one sentence, delivered at the perfect moment, Trump flipped the narrative on its head, and Sanders, a political icon, was left reeling. This is not just a clash of ideologies. This is a story about pride, miscalculation, and political revenge executed with ruthless precision. So sit tight as we walk you through the entire timeline, from protest podium to political fallout. It was a crisp Saturday morning in Boston, and thousands had gathered for what was supposed to be a peaceful protest against corporate greed and rising inequality. Bernie Sanders, still riding a wave of progressive energy even after his presidential runs, was the main speaker. With his trademark finger-pointing and passionate voice, Bernie took the mic and lit into the system. The crowd roared as he spoke of billionaires dodging taxes and working-class Americans struggling to survive. But then, something shifted. Sanders looked directly into the cameras and said, "And then you have Donald Trump, a man who inherited everything, lost millions, and still thinks he's a genius. I'm sorry, but the man is a moron. A dangerous, delusional moron." The crowd exploded. Applause, laughter, even chants mocking Trump. What Bernie didn't know was that those 12 words would go viral in under an hour. Clips of his speech hit Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and quickly caught fire on both sides of the political divide. Within 2 hours, #TrumpMoron was trending. But it wasn't just the internet reacting. Donald Trump, ever the counterpuncher, was watching. And he was already crafting his response. Not a tweet, not a video, but a surgical strike designed to destroy Bernie's credibility. While many expected Trump to lash out in a familiar Twitter tirade, he chose a different approach this time. At a packed press conference the next day, with reporters ready to grill him on international policy, Trump paused mid-speech and said, "Oh, and as for Bernie Sanders, who called me a moron. I'll say this, any man who rails against millionaires while owning 3 homes, taking money from working people, and never building a business in his life, maybe the real moron isn't me." The room went silent. That one sentence was all it took. Trump didn't need to shout or insult. He'd planted a seed of doubt. And it grew fast. Within minutes, headlines shifted. Trump calls out Bernie's hypocrisy, replaced, Sanders slams Trump. Cable news ran with it. Conservative outlets dissected Bernie's wealth, his book deals, his homes. Even moderate liberals began asking, is Bernie really living the values he preaches? It wasn't just a counterattack, it was character assassination disguised as calm observation. In the days following Trump's statement, Bernie's campaign office was overwhelmed with calls. Progressive allies tried to defend him, pointing out his long history of fighting for the working class. But perception is a powerful force, and Trump had painted a picture of hypocrisy that stuck. Fox News ran a week-long special, Bernie's Millionaire Problem. CNN invited economists who debated the ethics of Bernie's wealth. Even MSNBC couldn't resist airing segments asking, is Bernie losing touch with his base? Poll numbers dipped. Donations slowed. Sanders had been planning a major nationwide tour focused on student debt relief, but 2 sponsors backed out. Then came the real blow, a leaked email chain from within Bernie's own staff. In it, aides complained about Bernie's tone-deaf comments, and how they had derailed months of hard work. One aide even wrote, calling Trump a moron didn't hurt Trump. It hurt us. The email went public. Now, not only was Bernie under fire from the right, but cracks were appearing in his own ranks. Trump, meanwhile, remained quiet. Silent. Smirking. A week after the protest, Bernie Sanders held a press conference of his own. He looked tired, almost deflated. Gone was the firebrand, in his place stood a man trying to salvage his legacy. He began by reaffirming his values, economic justice, equality, healthcare for all. But then came the moment everyone was waiting for. I regret my choice of words. While I strongly disagree with Donald Trump's policies, it was wrong to attack him personally. I should have focused on the issues. Some saw it as humility. Others saw it as a political white flag. The apology didn't heal the damage. Instead, it widened the gap between Bernie and the new progressive leaders rising within the movement. Figures like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who had once stood shoulder to shoulder with Sanders, began taking more distance publicly. In a cruel twist, Bernie's attempt to show strength had exposed a vulnerability that Trump had exploited with terrifying efficiency. In a later interview, Trump was asked if he planned to respond to Bernie's apology. He smiled and said, "I didn't need to respond. I already won." That line was clipped and replayed across all platforms. For Trump, the incident became a symbolic triumph. He started using Bernie's comment, and his apology, as a campaign example. At rallies, he would mimic Bernie's voice and say, "Trump is a moron." Then laugh and shout, "Well, guess what? Who's laughing now?" Crowds erupted. Trump even coined a new slogan, "They shout, we build." Meanwhile, Bernie's influence in the Senate waned. Bills he sponsored struggled for support. Media stopped inviting him as frequently. Donors shifted their focus to newer, more tactful voices. Trump had done more than just clap back, he had reshaped the narrative. He turned a personal insult into a national referendum on Bernie's authenticity. Ending 400 words. Politics is rarely about who's right. Often, it's about who can control the story. Bernie Sanders tried to fight fire with fire, labeling Trump a moron, to rally his base. But in the process, he walked straight into a trap laid by a man who has always understood one brutal truth: insults fade, but doubt lingers. Trump didn't win this battle with anger. He won it with strategy. With one line, he redirected America's gaze from his own record to Bernie's contradictions. And once that happened, the damage was irreversible. Sanders remains a respected voice, but the episode marked the beginning of his slow decline from the front lines of influence. So what's the lesson here? In the age of viral soundbites and media manipulation, the loudest voice doesn't always win. Sometimes, the most dangerous weapon in politics is not a megaphone, but a mirror. Trump held it up for America to see, and whether people liked what they saw or not, it changed the game. Video keywords for CO. Bernie Sanders-Trump feud. Bernie calls Trump a moron. Trump shuts down Bernie. Trump-Bernie protest clash. Trump destroys Bernie. Political takedown viral. Trump comeback speech. Bernie Sanders controversy 2025. Trump one-liner Bernie Sanders. Presidential rivalry clash.